In a carpenter's workshop, a forklift reversing out of the building suddenly struck the wall above the doorway, causing the entire front section of the structure to collapse. Concrete and debris fell instantly, turning a simple exit maneuver into a structural failure within seconds. The impact brought down the facade, forcing everyone in the area to scatter as dust filled the workspace and operations came to a sudden halt. This incident highlights the risks of moving heavy equipment in confined indoor spaces. Forklift routes must be clearly marked with adequate clearance, and operators should move slowly with spotters when exiting buildings. In a junk shop, a man was suddenly pulled into a spinning lathe moments after finishing repairs, becoming trapped and spewed out by the rotating mechanism in a matter of seconds. The powerful machine left no chance for escape, turning an equipment fix into a catastrophic and brutal accident within seconds. This incident highlights the extreme dangers of exposed rotating equipment and improper lockout procedures. Machines must be fully powered down, isolated, and tested before any maintenance begins. Guards should always be in place, and emergency stop systems must be accessible. Strict adherence to lockout-tagout protocols is essential to prevent deadly entanglement accidents. In an industrial farm, a forklift suddenly tipped over and fell to the ground while exiting the back of a truck after the trailer began moving before the machine had fully crossed onto the loading bay. The shifting gap caused the forklift to lose support and fall to the ground, taking the operator with it in a violent drop. What should have been a routine unloading task instantly turned into a dangerous rollover accident. This incident highlights the risks of uncoordinated loading dock operations. Clear communication between drivers and dock workers, along with levelers and safety restraints, is essential to prevent sudden trailer movement and forklift tip-overs. In an e-waste facility, a worker cleaning inside a trash compactor was suddenly caught when the machine powered on, crushing him before he could escape. Realizing too late what was happening, he was pinned as the compactor closed, turning routine cleaning into a horrific, fatal accident within seconds. This incident highlights the deadly consequences of entering machinery without proper isolation. Compactors must be fully locked out and tagged out before anyone climbs inside, with physical lock devices and verified zero-energy checks. Clear maintenance procedures, confined space protocols, and supervisor authorization are essential to prevent catastrophic crushing accidents. Outside a warehouse parking lot, a forklift carrying a large load of mail, with severely limited forward visibility, suddenly ran over a worker who was standing nearby on a smoking break. The operator stopped and backed up, allowing the worker to get up on his own, fortunately, suffering only minor injuries. What began as a quiet break instantly turned into a frightening close call. This incident highlights the dangers of obstructed visibility and pedestrians standing in active forklift zones. Operators must never travel with blocked sightlines without a spotter, and brake areas should be clearly separated from vehicle routes. In a big supermarket, a worker pulling a pallet stacked with groceries accidentally struck a platform ladder while passing through an aisle, knocking it out of position and sending another worker on top crashing face first to the floor. The fall happened instantly, turning a routine restocking task into a painful workplace accident. This incident highlights the risks of moving loads near elevated workers. Aisles must be kept clear, ladders should be secured, and pallet movement should be stopped when someone is working at height nearby. Clear communication, awareness of surroundings, and designated work zones are essential to prevent falls caused by passing equipment. In an airport luggage facility, a worker standing in the forklift parking area was suddenly run over by a reversing forklift as the operator attempted to park. Unaware that he had struck someone, the operator remained in place until a coworker urgently signaled him to move the forklift so the injured worker could get up. This incident highlights the dangers of blind spots and complacency during low-speed forklift movements. Operators must check their surroundings before reversing, use audible alarms, and rely on spotters in congested areas. Pedestrian zones should be clearly marked, and workers must avoid standing near equipment parking areas to prevent similar accidents. In an animal farm, a worker was suddenly caught and spun by an egg conveyor engine after turning the system on while his feet were still on the rotating mechanism. The machine immediately pulled him in, dragging him through mud and manure. No one was around to see what happened and help stop the machine. This incident highlights the dangers of starting machinery without confirming a clear footing and safe positioning. Conveyor systems must be fully guarded, and workers should stand clear before energizing equipment. Lockout-tagout during adjustments, proper training, and clear startup checks are essential to prevent entanglement injuries in automated farm operations. In the back of a hardware store, a worker was suddenly struck in the head by a giant wooden tube being carried forward on a forklift like a spear. The protruding load hit him without warning as the operator continued driving, unaware of the impact, leaving the worker suffering a severe concussion on the floor. This incident highlights the dangers of transporting long loads without proper visibility or control. Forklift operators must keep loads low and balanced, use spotters when carrying oversized materials, and ensure clear travel paths. Pedestrian exclusion zones and awareness of protruding cargo are essential to prevent devastating strike injuries. In a metal workshop, a worker was suddenly pulled toward a steel lathe machine when his hand became caught in the mechanism, ripping his shirt and causing deep cuts to his shoulders. He managed to break free before being fully trapped, narrowly avoiding a far more serious outcome. This incident highlights the dangers of exposed rotating parts and loose clothing around machinery. Guards must be in place, operators should avoid wearing loose garments, and emergency stop buttons must remain within easy reach. Proper training, safe positioning, and strict adherence to machine safety procedures are essential to prevent entanglement injuries. In a mining facility parking lot, a worker climbing onto the tank of a tanker truck to inspect a leaking white gas from the door was suddenly thrown off when the lid burst open under immense pressure and heat. The force of the release caused him to fall from the top of the tank, turning a routine inspection into a dangerous accident within seconds. This incident highlights the dangers of pressurized chemical containers. Tanks must be depressurized and handled using proper safety procedures, including personal protective equipment, remote inspection tools, and strict protocols for opening pressurized lids. In a port baggage hub, a worker on an elevated platform pushed a small metal cart over the edge, which struck another worker directly in the head below and another worker on his feet. The impact caused serious head and toe injuries that would need immediate medical attention. This incident highlights the dangers of unsecured equipment at height. Elevated platforms must have guardrails, and objects should never be pushed over the edges. Clear drop zones, proper handling procedures, and personal protective equipment like helmets are essential to prevent head injuries in busy loading areas.